Breaking news, the zombie apocalypse is upon us. Be advised you only have a few minutes to grab some weapons and get out of Dodge. Good luck and Godspeed. What's up, crew? It's Chris with CloverTac. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I put out a zombie gear list video a couple of years back, but after much thought and deliberation, you know what? It's time to turn that list up on its head with this update. Now, keep in mind moving forward, I do want to hear a lot of your choices down in the comments below, but the caveat to this list is it has to be something you have in your possession, something you own now, because as the breaking news segment told us earlier, we don't have much time. We kicked things off with the melee weapon, and in the previous video, I chose a Rip Claw hammer. Still don't think it's a bad choice, but I think right now a Shingler's hammer is going to be the way to go. Now, the Shingler's hammer, it still has the function, obviously, of a hammer. It's an all one-piece steel construction, which leads to maximum durability. But the cool thing about a Shingler's hammer is you got the little hatchet blade on one side. Now, with most Shingler's hammers, this edge is not sharp, but you could easily put an edge on it. And that's going to add to the versatility of this tool. As we move forward on this list, just a quick reminder, some of these items you can find in the Amazon influencer store under the zombie gear category. Next up, let's talk sidearms, and I'm sticking with a revolver. Now, I got a little bit carried away, I think, in the previous video when I chose a .357 Magnum Ruger Blackhawk, and honestly, I think my Smith & Wesson 617 22 long rifle would be a much more versatile and acceptable choice. Now, 22 long rifle is probably going to be a little bit easier to come by. It's obviously a lighter weight ammunition, meaning I'm going to be able to carry more of it. And when we're talking about the difference between the 22 long rifle Smith & Wesson 617 and a .357 Ruger Blackhawk, well, the 10 rounds in that 617 I think trump the 6 rounds in that Ruger Blackhawk. And since my 617 Smith & Wesson is pretty darn accurate at longer distances, well, that's really going to throw a curveball into my last pick, but more on that in a minute. Now, obviously, I'm going to need a blade, and my blade is still inspired by the Rotten Ruin series of books from author Jonathan Mayberry. Now, previously, I had chosen the K-Bar fighting knife, but I do believe that I found a much better option in the Klein Duct knife. Yeah, that's D-U-C-T, Duct knife. Now, unlike a K-Bar, the Klein Duct knife does have both a traditional as well as a serrated edge on the blade, and this gives it more of a traditional spear type look on the blade, which is going to be great because I'm going to pair that with a 4-foot piece of 1-inch steel pipe, and this is straight out of those Rotten Ruin books. And what this setup's going to do is it's going to allow me to maybe create a little distance with those zombies, and also use that pipe for crushing blows to break those zombie bones. Remember, you don't necessarily have to dispatch these zombies. They are, after all, human bodies. And if you take out bone, well, that's going to immobilize them, and then they're much less of a threat. Now, in the previous video, I had the category of long arm, and in that category, I chose the Marlin Papoose Takedown 22 rifle. But in light of having the Smith & Wesson 617 in the lineup now, I really don't think that's necessary. And so instead of having a long arm, we're going to scrap that all together. We're going to go special purpose category, and I'm bringing in my PSE compound bow. Now, I hear you out there, you're saying, Clover, what about a crossbow? I mean, after all, it was good enough for Daryl in The Walking Dead. And I think a bow trumps a crossbow in a couple of ways. First of all, it's going to be less bulky. Second of all, it's going to be easier to load and fire. And then third of all, when it does fire, it's going to make a lot less noise. But I also think that scavenging for arrows rather than ammunition is going to be a much easier task, as most people are probably focused on ammunition for those firearms. And as far as what type of arrows I would use with this bow, well, I'd probably take some fixed broadheads and remove the fins on them, creating a really awesome spear point. And these are going to have a lot better penetration than just your standard field tips or a fully assembled, of course, broadhead. But it's probably a good idea to keep at least 1 or 2 broadheads around just in case you need them. Now, if you're out there and you're curious why I chose what I chose in that previous video, well, I've got that linked up for you right here. You can go check that out. As for this one, we're done. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And until next time, don't forget to chain fire freedom.